Anyway, I guess I'll get into my little discourse for tonight, because I haven't done one of these in a while. So hopefully you enjoy me getting my ass kicked by these cultists, I guess if you want to call it. But you want to know what rhymes with cultists? Autists. And that is the first complaint I'd like to make today, and that is because Sega has announced Virtua Fighter 5 R.E.V.O. I don't know what R.E.V.O. stands for, honestly. It could mean anything, honestly. But all I know is that I literally did a rant not that long ago, people being pissed off at Sega for removing a bunch of old Sega Genesis games, and yet I've seen literally nothing but praise from people who claim to be Sega fans, let alone Virtua Fighter fans, saying that we're back, because I guess the game is going to be released on PC and with rollback netcode. Like, it's just honestly retarded. Like, this game is going to be... It's not 20 years old per se, but it's going to be coming really soon. And the fact that Sega is still milking this fucking game again, it's just insane to me. Like, even Ultimate Showdown was kind of a joke, first of all, because it was supposed to be $40 USD, which is ridiculous since it had even less content compared to Final Showdown, which even compared to the Xbox 360 version of Virtua Fighter 5 had way less content compared to the original Virtua Fighter 5 versions that were on PS3, and then I think the Xbox 360 came out later. It's, I know that the Virtua Fighter 5 on Xbox 360 had online play, while the PS3 version did not, and I believe it was based on some arcade revision or some shit. I don't know the exact details, but basically one had online play, the other didn't. I think there was some weird quest shit or whatever that made it prestigious or something, but it was just a really bad version, honestly, the PS3 version. Pretty sure I got this shit secondhand, despite having played the Xbox 360 version. I don't think there's any trophies on the PS3 version either. It's just a novelty game at this point. But it had quest mode, so I guess that was kind of worth it, I guess. That's like the only reason that Virtua Fighter is like any good, in my opinion, is just because of quest mode. And it's basically like the... To those who don't know, I'm pretty sure the people who probably don't know because, well, nobody plays Virtua Fighter, I guess, because it's not this babysitting-ass fighting game, but for online losers who all they do is sing the praise of how fighting games are back because it has a rollback or whatever, but I'm not going to get into that. But basically, quest mode was basically like, it's kind of like the Tekken Dojo mode that was in Dark Resurrection, except Sega made it so I had a lot more interest in it, and plus they actually unlocked things in it, like customizing your character and such. So it was kind of cool, and I'm pretty sure there was like a bunch of various AIs where they actually like adapt to your styles and stuff. They each had their own win-loss records, so it was kind of the closest thing the game had to a story mode, I guess. Because one thing that Virtua Fighter is not known for is the story, and the game's story is already fucking lackluster to begin with, because I fucking wasted fucking potion. Whatever. My fault for trying to set up rapid fire, I guess, but whatever. But anyway. So, Sega, I guess, decided to do yet another version of Virtua Fighter 5 that was called Final Showdown. And it removed the quest mode. I think it only added, like, a couple of missions, I guess. I forget what it was called, but it was basically like a mission mode, I guess. And it was nowhere near the quest mode. And you actually had to buy various DLCs to have access to a special battle mode, I guess. I don't know what the hell it is, but I know there's like these two costume packs that's basically $30, and that's not even counting tax or whatever. But it was just like, what the fuck, but you could play as Durl. Unlocking Durl in Final Showdown was way easier. You only had to go for the arcade mode once, which was good because I believe in the original you had to go for a game with every fucking character, which on one hand is good because you can kind of see how each character plays, and then as a reward you get to play through the game as Durl. And not to mention the original Virtua Fighter 5 had that really shitty option that basically lets you turn on voiceovers like it's a tournament or something. It was really fucking cringe. I don't think it's based on anyone in particular, but it was just really weird. I'm not really into the whole tournament stuff, but it was kind of a cool idea, I guess, but thankfully that shit was optional. It meant to simulate like a tournament stuff, but it was just stupid. But then they added Final Showdown, and you couldn't play as Durl in arcade mode, actually. You could only use Durl in the vanilla Virtua Fighter 5, and that's if you unlocked it, which is ridiculous, but whatever. But yeah, Final Showdown was a bit of a downgrade, but it was only $15, and people who had the game on PS3 at least kind of got a better version of Virtua Fighter 5. Okay, fine, whatever. And I guess the online was also improved, since you could technically have the option to play as Durl in player matches, and that's if the person hosting the lobby enabled them. Fine, whatever. Then the series goes fucking dormant, only for the game to get a release, I think not that long ago, actually. I don't remember what year it was exactly, and it's like, it's $40 USD, you can't play as Durl for whatever reason. It's another fucking version of Virtua Fighter 5 that promises online play, whatever, and it's like, people were sucking its dick. And I guess the online netcode wasn't up to stuff, because I guess people stopped playing it. Then I guess they came out with DLC for it that's supposed to be nostalgic, because it has tunes, Sega tunes, whatever, from the other Virtua Fighter games. I guess, retro-inspired Virtua Fighter UI, even though Virtua Fighter 4 literally had a whole-ass game mode or disc, depending on what version you're playing. I guess in Japan there was a special disc of Virtua Fighter 4 that had a Virtua Fighter 1 mode that had the character models replace their Virtua Fighter 1 models, even Durl, despite it, I think, not being normally attainable, or whatever. It was also in the original Virtua Fighter 4 on the console ports, you can actually unlock said Virtua Fighter 1 models, but I believe, not Ultimate, Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, the revised version, actually added a whole new stage based on Virtua Fighter 1 and having said models in that mode. It's kind of like a throwback mode, I guess, with Virtua Fighter 4 mechanics. It was kind of interesting, actually. It didn't cost you a fucking DLC price tag or whatever. It was included with the fucking game. I guess when the game came out in overseas, it was in a special disc, but I believe in America, it had it was a selectable mode, I guess, so you didn't have to worry about buying a second disc or whatever, so whatever. But yeah, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown won people over, even though it was literally overpriced as fuck. Still can't do versus CPU matches in a versus mode, which is insanely retarded. Overpriced DLC, really stupid fucking cosmetics. I think you even have Yakuza DLC, which is insanely fucking stupid. I mean, I know it's Sega's other IP that makes some money that isn't fucking Sonic the Hedgehog, but it's just fucking stupid. And I guess after people found out the online netcode sucked, they basically stopped playing the game because, you know, nobody wants to play quest mode, nobody wants to have a playable girl, even though they could make her bounce for competitive play, which is basically what Arc System Works did with characters like Cliff and Justice, and they weren't even part of the story, by the way, which is something that fucking Namco should have taken massive lessons from, considering that they could have had Heihachi be a DLC character and not fucking interfere with the story or whatever. Like, isn't that the whole reason guest characters or whatever thing? Like, you could still have your fancy characters for the sake of marketing, but going against the entire story and shit was just insanely retarded. I'm never letting that go, sorry. I thought Akuma was worse. I think Namco undoing the entire point of Tekken 7 might be even worse. I'm sorry. And I'm probably never going to ever let Case go, because one was a prolonged, inevitable return of Heihachi, and it was just fucking stupid. I suddenly care about Tekken anymore. I used to, but I don't even fucking care. But as for Virtua Fighter, it's just a fucking mess now. Like, it's not even the games that, like, I don't want to say that I grew up with, because I'm not really a big Virtua Fighter kind of person. I guess the home ports of Virtua Fighter 2 are okay. Mainly the Saturn version, and I guess the arcade version that's being delisted, the one that's... Or not the arcade version, sorry. The Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of Virtua Fighter that are based on the arcade version, like with Virtua Fighter, Fighting Viper, and of course the Sonic the Fighters. Yeah, it sucks they're being delisted, but there's a reason why I stopped caring, and it's because I didn't mention the video actually, I really should have, but people will just eat anything up that Sega does, and it's just insanely stupid. Like, I don't think I've seen one single person maybe doubting that this collection is going to be fucking overpriced. Like, honestly, with Virtua Fighter 4, with Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown being an objectively waste of money, I'm sorry, $40 for a game with even less content compared to the already less content version of the game, it's just a fucking criminal act in my opinion. It's kind of insane. I don't care if it's a beloved fighting game series. They could bring back quest mode. They could at least let you do a versus CPU mode if they can't even bother to incorporate various AIs or cosmetics you probably have to grind for hours to unlock anyway. It's just insanely bad design to have a game that might be decent to some people. So some people probably rather play Virtua Fighter 4, 3, 2, or even the original. But I just don't even know what the hell people are thinking and completely forgetting the whole bullshit that Sega did when they delisted the Sega games. And they're probably still going to be doing it. But as usual, people will do a complete 180. And I don't even think it's been a week, I think, since Sega did that bullshit. Not even a whole week, I think, and people already forgetting Sega's poor act of delisting a bunch of Sega games. But look, guys, you get another version of a game that's fucking almost 18 years old with being released from shackles, or the shackled exclusivity, even though the game is not even getting an Xbox port, a Switch port, or anything. So it's still technically exclusive, as it's going to be having a major balance update, and it's going to be having more or less the same shit. Go to the R.E.V.O for a second, but I really fucking hate the sound effect that the marriage dude has. I kind of get its meaning, but it just annoyed the fuck out of me. It comes as more annoying than actually scary, but whatever. But yeah, Sega made another version of Virtua Fighter 5, and yet it's still being released only on PC. I know that it's technically a version based on Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, but it doesn't change the fact that it should have also been released on Xbox and Switch, and at the very least to make up for it, having all various versions of Virtua Fighter 5, or hell, maybe even doing one slightly better by having a version of the characters being based on every arcade revision of Virtua Fighter 5, kind of like with what Hyper Street Fighter 2 did. Now that would be pretty cool. You basically get like each playable version of the characters from Virtua Fighter 5 competing against each other. That'd be pretty cool. You get to see Ultimate Showdown Akira versus Vanilla Virtua Fighter 5 El Blaze, or as some normals would call it, Rey Mysterio, because a masked luchador is certainly the only thing that has ever been done in the WWE, I guess. Whatever. It's fucking stupid. Not to diss on Rey Mysterio, but he's not even the only fucking masked luchador out there. There's also Mucha Lucha, but whatever. But anyway, another piece of autism I actually had to deal with this morning was an old tweet of mine that's, I think, not even a week old or some shit. I mentioned how someone wrote an article on the XCOM, and I guess you can actually write articles now on XCOM provided you buy the checkmark, which, if I do, I could go on fucking long-ass walls of texts. But then it means I gave Elon Musk money, and I don't want to be one of those people whose opinions are invalidated just because I gave the richest man in the world money. It's the businessman's equivalent of having an anime profile picture, and I'm not about to have a well-written opinion discarded because I gave a man money. Or having Japanese-centric fucking profile picture. That shit is retarded. I get why people do it, but a person can still be right. It's just people are way too judgmental over the stupidest shit. But anyway, I made a tweet mentioning how it's 2024 and people are still acting as if the whole Bridget retcon, and yes, I'm calling it a fucking retcon, and even if it wasn't, it was just bad writing. I'm going to assume it's a retcon because it just goes against everything Bridget's character arc went through as His backstory in Guilty Gear XX, or Exegs, or however you say it, I probably butchered the fuck out of it, but I honestly don't even care. This shit just made me really mad that literally the first thing to deal with when I woke up today was seeing a person respond to one of my tweets mentioning that it was some really stupid shit. I'll link it in the highlight, but it's like, how can people possibly be okay with the whole Bridget retcon, considering it goes everything against the whole point of Bridget in Guilty Gear XX. Now, I know that people probably don't play Guilty Gear for good reason, but I'm not exactly a lore enthusiast. I'm not Fourth Snake or whatever with Guilty Gear, so I'll just try to make it as reasonable as I possibly can, going by the bullshit I guess the game throws at you. So basically, Bridget was raised in a village where it's considered bad luck to have male twins, and the only way to circumvent this is to either have Bridget be killed or given up for adoption or some shit. And obviously the parents don't want to give up their precious child for adoption, so they basically raised Bridget into becoming a girl, and this over time kind of made Bridget question his lifestyle. And yes, I'm calling Bridget a man because he was born a boy. I'm not going to really go into the whole gender politics, but science does not change who you were born as a person. And how you choose to live your life is one thing. Like, you want to have, like, operations or whatever. I mean, if you want to identify as a fucking porcupine for all I care, whatever. But you have to earn your respect and trust like everyone else. And I don't think trying to push your ideology into others is going to be your way to earn it. I mean, even look at fucking Dragon Age Veilguard. Like, that game is a fucking joke as far as trying to, push your narratives to how you want to live your life. It's just obnoxious. You can be any race, ethnicity, gender, whatever. You can live your life how the fuck you want. And there are some people who could probably be within that category who are some of the most chill people on Earth. But there is a reason why a lot of people are given a bad rep just because they're part of their movement or whatever. But I'm not going to go any further to that, because that could be grounds for termination. But basically, Bridget's backstory, at least in Guilty Gear XX, is quite a moving one in the sense that Bridget does eventually learn to, I don't want to sound like an asshole and say that he accepts his life as a man, but despite having a pretty bad childhood or whatever, being forced to live a life that most people today would not even accept because, you know, it is a work of fiction after all, and especially with all the bullshit horror tales that goes on in the real world. I don't think being born a man and being forced to live your life as a woman is anything that these so-called people would want to have to deal with or whatever. And especially if the roles are reversed, but I'm not even going to fucking get into that again. But Bridget's backstory in Guilty Gear XX, and especially using a yo-yo as a fucking weapon in a weapons-based 2D fighting game, it does have some pretty good combat and some pretty good music. It's pretty good. And then for quite some time, Bridget has not made appearances in the mainline games. There were a couple spin-offs, but they weren't really story-related. I think Judgment made a reference to whatever shit. And then, of course, there's the TIL moment of some fucking pachinko story-driven game that's apparently canon, but I made a last point a while ago saying that people care about that type of writing as much as people care about Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks having story events that directly go against the very thing that Mortal Kombat 2 established, because while you could call it a retcon, I wouldn't say it's the worst retcon of all time, but with the time gap that Strive has set up, like, people, ever since Bridget was shown off in the game, or not even just ever since Bridget was shown off, ever since the whole ending controversy, which I didn't really go into at the time because I was kind of more pissed off with the DLC for the PlayStation Colors, but just the fact that Bridget's ending in Guilty Gear Strive basically has Lewis Goldson, whatever the fuck, I don't even know his name. I think it was a background character or some shit in Xrd, and now he's like a full-blown character now. I don't even fucking know. Basically, the point is that this dude basically said, oh, well, you lived your life as a girl, well, you can accept that now, even though Bridget had a pretty tragic backstory, what the fuck. And now this character that had a retcon that's just laughably bad for the most baffling reasons is just accepted by these people who don't even play Guilty Gear, and they only see the part that shows them transitioning or some shit. Like, they don't see the other parts where Bridget had to live the life that Bridget probably didn't even want to live as I died. This part fucking sucks. It's because I'm pumping any attribute points into strength or defense, just agility, which was to fucking farm my ass off, and I don't know if I even want to do that, honestly. This game is rather annoying, so whatever. I guess I'll just play as the other characters, I guess. Or I'll have to look up a strategy. But later. But seriously, this is the character that people worship as their idol because they see the character identifying as a girl because it's the thing that's cool now. Because it's something that people can relate with, even though the actual backstory of Bridget is a lot more traumatic compared to what was shown in the game that basically went against Bridget's entire backstory and why people actually like the fucking character. It's insane. Like, I just don't get people, honestly. It's like, they choose this character to be their Lord and Savior because people identify as coming out now. And that's their only fucking personality, which is bullshit. It's like people getting mad at Celeblade for not being nominated Game of the Year, but then they'll talk about the tits and ass. Someone on XCOM made a good point. Actually, not quote tweeted. I retweeted what they said because it just makes a lot of sense. But even if Celeblade wasn't about the tits and ass, I just do not care for the Souls-like genre anymore. It's just nonsense. Hell, this game is even more harder than that. It's not even a fucking Souls-like. You gotta do that level in one straight shot, and if you mess up, you gotta restart the entire fucking level. It's bullshit. But whatever. Probably my fault because I didn't respec properly, but whatever. I don't fucking care. But the point is that these people just look at that one part and they're like, wow, so based. And I know what the other ending is. Like, I don't even fucking know nor do I care. Like, it's just obnoxious that these people will think that the character is fine now because those events happened years ago. It doesn't change anything what happened, but it can still be seen as bad writing because Daisuke, or whatever the fuck you want to call him, or Daisuke, or Daisuck, or D-Suck. D's nuts suck? Yeah, probably D's nuts suck. Whatever. He might have made great Guilty Gear games and even made music for the games, but the story direction that he chose, especially with Bridget, is just fucking terrible. So I was having a fun fighting game. Like, the arcade one, I guess, is kind of okay, but when you have endings that are just fucking trash, it just makes you question, are they even worth playing? I think there's one character in the game that was a boss where I don't know if you can use them or not. I think there's also survival colors in the game, but you can't use those, I think. I don't get that. I don't know why they had to regress in that. Whatever. Fucking stupid-ass Team Battle Mode that was advertised to be exclusive for the PSI, which apparently came out as an update today, actually. But apparently, in the same update, they also neutered the game even more by having the character models being turned invisible when the camera aims upwards. Because, oh no, the game that's T-rated is being sent. I don't know how to fucking word it. Poor Japanese people can't handle panty shots in the game, but yet when it comes to Super Smash Bros., people use the game is playable for good boys and girls crap, so they can go fuck all kinds of off because that shit was fucking retarded. All of you fucking defended that shit can just fuck off for that, personally, but I'm not gonna get into that. I don't care if it was a fucking mistranslation by Sakurai. The dude could have definitely added another costume mod made by SNK or some shit. People are just fucking retarded white knighters, all of you. At least you keep your weapons, but still. This game's gonna be fucking obnoxious to grind. I am not looking forward to that. I love how the ice sword has absolutely no fucking stats, by the way. drift off again, but there is this video I saw on YouTube saying the most overpowered weapons in Castle Crashers, and it just has to be a fucking mod for the PC game. Like, I was actually trying to look up like actual helpful videos to get through it, but no, it's just a shitty, clickbaiting piece of shit fucking video that helped stick. Thanks. Fucker. Anyway. But yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, that show was just fucking stupid. Like, people take the man's words to heart, which is fucking dumb because it's still bad writing, even if they want to call it a retcon or not. Which it kind of is, considering that that Bridget's ending goes against entirely the entirety of the fucking backstory. It's also kind of disappointing. Even Big Al and one of his friends actually made a rant talking about it, and I don't think it's on his channel anymore because it actually got nuked because of shitty toy animation. But that might be the one rant from that I actually have to massively disagree with because it's still bad writing at the end of the day. Like, there are so many fucking games and works of fiction that had various retcons for better or worse, and yet people want to act like this one change with Bridget is somehow a magical one because it's a thing that people can relate to. It's just fucking bullshit, honestly. Like, even if Toriyama left a legacy, that doesn't excuse the bad writing that he had with games like Dragon Ball, Dragon Quest, or any of the works he's involved with. Even Sandland, probably. I'm not trying to shit on his legacy for that. The man absolutely deserves it, but there are still things that even Kojima has done that could be seen as questionable. It's just the nature of criticism. You can still like the thing that you like, and you can still criticize it. They're not mutually exclusive. We don't get that. Like, people get mad for so much criticism as anything nowadays, and yet people want to hold on to this narrative that the Bridget retcon change is sort of better because it's something that people can relate to. It's fucking retarded. But I think I might have brought it up. I don't even remember anymore. I'm too angry now. But there is this oh yeah, I did talk about that. Yeah, the Pachinko story visual novel game having a retcon that you could technically argue is pretty bad, but I don't think it's as impactful compared to the Shaolin Monks bullshit. I mean, it's still kind of annoying, but I wouldn't say it's as bad as, say, NetherRealm turning Sindel into a piece of shit character that you could actually kind of like. Oh, but she's back now, but they could just completely ruin the character. Probably even worse than what Mortal Kombat 2011 did. They definitely fucked up Mortal Kombat 11, and it's gotten so bad that people call her Twin Dell. I think Forsake came up with that. It's kind of ironic. Or even how people like call Dead Rising 4 versions of Frank West Hank East because people are so fucking funny about that. But bias aside, I could definitely understand why people do that, but it's still bad writing at the end of the day, and no amount of copium, I hate to use modern slang, is gonna fucking change that. You call it a retcon, you could call it an evolution of Bridget's character. It's still fucking bad writing. Not that I'm gonna wish death on Daisuke because he dared turn a character from an Oto Noko, whatever the fuck. And I don't necessarily probably not in a person who should be going on about such things, but Bridget was perfectly fine as a character in Guilty Gear XX or whatever games that he was in. But the way they changed his character in Strive was just fucking obnoxious. And that's all there is to it. It's not that they took my King of Femboys away. It's just bad writing. That's all there is to it. It's just bad writing. Just like a Twisted Metal, just like a Metal Gear. Hell, maybe even Jet Set Radio, probably, if you really want to go that far. But people just fucking dumb. That's all there is to it. People are fucking dumb.